I started to think how I wanted to open up this keynote, and with that spoken word, there's highs and lows, there's in-betweens, it's my story, it's what I've gone through, and I wanted to open it up with that. Sometimes I end the keynote with that to just start us off, but I wanted to really ground us in the understanding of your power. The power of a teacher's decision. And I know in society, they're always trying to tear us down, trying to make us powerless, trying to tell us what we're worth, but I wanted to bake us, to bathe us in this idea that we are some of the most powerful people on the face of the earth. And because I'm a little biased, because I teach math teachers are some of the most powerful people on the face of the earth. We are. You know how we are? Because there is no content course that has the amount of anxiety like our course, phobias like our course, fixed mindset like our course. So we, as what I call us as gatekeepers, we really have the power to open up the gates to so many or close off the gates for so many. If you have an amazing math teacher, math has been statistically proven that you can tell how successful people are about how far or how well they do in math. And so we teach the content that really changes people's lives. And how we handle the content and what we do with the content and how we handle our kids really speaks to their trajectory. I grew up in a very small town, Belhaven, North Carolina. There was 100 people in my graduating class. There's 2,000 people in the little town, 252. Anybody from the 252? 252, all right, East Coast. Yeah, I did not know at the time anything about honors classes. I didn't know anything about AP courses. But because I was in a very small town, there was really one chance to get on that track. Because there was one teacher teaching geometry honors next year, and if you didn't get into class with there, then you were not going to be in geometry honors, which means that the trajectory of my life, we only had one. It wasn't even an AP course. It was a college course that the Beaufort County Community College teacher came in and taught pre-calculus. That's all the access we had in that small town. And so if you did not get on that track early, you were not going to get on that track by your senior year because of the simple fact that we didn't have all these teachers and you couldn't double up the next year. And so Mrs. Simmons noticed me in 8th grade, and she saw my grades and was just like, why aren't you in this class? Now, I struggled my behind off. Let me be honest with y'all. Like, the gifted kids had pre-algebra the year before. I had no pre-nothing. I had 7th grade math. That's what I had. And I walked into a class, I was like, what are y'all doing? Like, what y'all been doing what? Like, and I struggled, but I fell in love with that productive struggle. And I live literally off of the decision of this teacher. If she did not see me, if she did not recognize me, if she did not notice that this young man and his best friend Chester, and there was another guy by the name of Adam that was invited into the class or inducted into Algebra 1, how I felt at the time, if she did not notice me, I would have still went on to take geometry. I wouldn't be able to take geometry because I didn't take Algebra 1 first. And so I would not have been on that course. So before I move on, I wanted to remind you of your power. You are gatekeepers. And how you expose a child to this content, how you expose yourself to the knowledge of your power will open up the doors for so many other people. And so my keynote today, is called Teach Like a Boss. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Can y'all say after me, teach like a boss? Let's take it up a level. Teach like a boss. Let's take it up one more time. Teach like a boss. Teach like a boss. All right. So this boss right there, we're going to add on in. We're going to put a little stank on it. When you put a little stank on it, you got to change your face. Okay. So I'm a model to you all how we're going to say boss. So when I say teach like a boss, like you gotta curl up your lips and everything like that. That's how you add a little stank on it. So we're going to do it one more time. Teach like a boss. Yeah, y'all did that. Y'all did that. All right, so here we are. Teach like a boss. I enjoyed this cartoon when I was showing movies on the off days to my kids, and so this one really changed me. My mama told me when I was little that you was a bossy baby, like you was just a bossy. So I identified with this young man, and so today we're going to be talking about teach like a boss and how we as teachers can get our boss game up to another level. So here's a description of a boss. It says to make important decisions and to ensure tasks are completed and that the company is meeting its goals. That is what the description of a boss is. That's what a boss does. And so I want to teacherify this a little bit, take the same definition and then bring it closer to us, okay? So I'm going to break down the key sentences, the key phrases in this sentence. So to make important decisions as math teachers, how do we make important decisions? Well, my formative assessment just showed me that my kids don't remember how to plot points from last year. And tomorrow's lesson is to translate points on a coordinate plane. What am I going to do about that? Okay, well, another important decision. There is a fire drill at the end of first block, and so now my 53-minute block has turned into a 43-minute block. What do I do? Because I want to keep first block and second block at the same pace, but I'm losing 10 minutes, so what am I going to do? Oh, there is a teacher work day next week. Also, there is an assembly also, so now time is going to be short again. Well, I just took another formative assessment, and there are still kids in my class that believe that -5 minus 2 is -3. What do we do about those things? We make important decisions today. Not alone. I got to use the bathroom right now, so I need to get somebody to cover my class. But this class is coming in is a little rowdy, so like I can't do that. This think, pair, share today. That student doesn't get along with that one. That one doesn't get along with that one. That one can't keep his hands to himself. That one's always talking. We make important decisions on learning every day. The next thing, and to ensure tasks are completed. All right, I just circulated around the room, and I see that 50% of my students did not do their homework. That Delta math I just gave out, they didn't even open it up. That ed puzzle that I left because I know I'll be speaking at a conference and I still want them to get the education, and I worked so hard to make sure they learn while I'm gone. Well, they didn't even open that bad boy up. I just got an email from Mr. Smith talking about they're going to the Bahamas in the middle of October, and they want all their work that they know they're not going to do because they're in the Bahamas. I got 10 kids out, 5 for COVID, 3 for the flu, and 2 because of anxiety. How in the world am I going to keep up and make sure that these tasks are completed? Lastly, and that the company is meeting its goals. Y'all ever heard of an EOG? EOC, 504 plan, IEP, midterm, final, SEL learning. Like, we do a lot. And I hope you recognize that in all these scenarios that you get this. We are the bosses. We are the bosses. And can you look at someone next to you, and y'all got to add the stank on it, all right? And tell them, you're a boss. That was like a 5 out of 10, okay? We're going to try to get up to a 7, okay? Look at somebody else and say to them, you're a boss. Because it's the truth. If that's the description, y'all, that's what we do every day. Every day, every time we wake up in the morning and go in the classroom, we take on this bossness. And so when we think about life, and when you look at this young lady right here, and you look at all the things that she's dealing with and how she identifies, she says that I'm a student, I'm a citizen, I'm a lover, I'm a boss, I'm a customer, I'm a woman, I'm a mother. There's so many hats as teachers we wear. No one said, you know, when you become a teacher, you're going to become a counselor, you're going to become a lawyer, you'll become a dress code attendant, like you're going to become all these many things. And I don't know, y'all, I'm getting off on a tangent, but I just didn't do this in school. I'm sitting there eating food, and kids will really come up to me and be like, can I have some? What? Like, I do not I just don't understand that. Like, I'm not feeding you as well. Like, I do enough. Like, come on. And so when we think about life, and we really think about everything that we deal with in life, there's a certain thing called our locus of control. There are so much things in life, so many things in life we're concerned about. Like, we just had a midterm election, and I got texts from people that I don't know. Like, I'm concerned, like, how y'all get my number? Like, how y'all texting me all the time asking me to vote? Why don't y'all know I voted on Halloween and y'all still sending me messages? I am concerned about the access that y'all have to me. And if you look at the news, I'm concerned about this, I'm concerned about that. There's so many things to be concerned about. But there's only, when you look at this circle, there's some things that I have influence over. I may have influence over my family, my friends. The circle gets smaller. But when we get down to it, there is things that we can control, but it's not as big as the things that we're concerned about. But there are things in our life that we can control. We all just came through a pandemic, and clearly many of us gained weight. I gained 25 pounds during the pandemic because there's just nothing else to do but to eat. Like, it's food. Like, I don't understand. We're not going anywhere. There's food in there. And my friends come over. My brother will come over and be like, boy, why you ain't got no food in this house? Because I eat the food that's in the house. I don't snack. I'm not a snacker. I'm an eater. Like, I just don't snack on stuff. I don't know how to do that. Well, I didn't think I have control over it until I got a trainer that's been training me to be like, James, you don't have to eat that, and log in your food, okay? And when we think about education, there's so much, y'all, to be concerned about. So much, y'all. I'm not even going to name the things. Stuff is already hitting your heart and mind already within education that we can be concerned about. There's fewer things that we can influence. Maybe we can influence our peers. Maybe we can influence our parents. Maybe we can influence the rules or the things that happen within our school. But the thing, y'all, that we can control is that classroom. What happens in that classroom, you have control over. I'm not saying the curriculum. Somebody made a decision, okay? How you teach the curriculum, how you love on the kids. I'm saying today that as bosses, you have control over your classroom and how you engage, how you promote, who you engage, who you promote, what you do. You have control over that. And if you feel like you don't, I came to convince you that you do, because that's where you are a boss. And so when we think about that, the research says this. I began to think about some of the research and how it applies to what we do. Math is one of the most unmotivated subjects because, like I said before, students come in with math trauma, and they come in with a fixed mindset, and I can't do it that fast. And they've been exposed to teachers that necessarily didn't build up a positive math identity, and we learn a different way. I remember when I got out of college, and I was like, oh, y'all are explaining why now? No one ever told me why. Now all of a sudden, everybody wants to know why. Y'all expect me to teach why, and I was never even told why. I remember sitting at NC State University, and Dr. Stiff, God bless his soul, but he used to be not North Carolina, but he used to be the NCTM president overall. I didn't even know how big wig he was. He literally asked us, why does A squared plus B squared equal C squared? And we all sat there like, we don't know. Like, no one ever showed us a proof. No one ever showed us that the square is connected to the sides. When you do A squared and it's a square plus B squared, it adds up to give you the square of the hypotenuse. No one ever showed us that simple proof. So he made us feel about that small. But no one ever showed us these things. And so we literally walked into the classroom, was like, I just know how to use it. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know why it works. I know how to plug in numbers and solve. And so our kids now are being exposed to math that they need to know why. And we have to show them why. And so the research says that when it comes to motivating students, first, teachers are far more influential than parents in motivating students to learn. Now, y'all, this is just common sense, because parents don't come to school with their kids. Like, if the mama was sitting right there and she was just like, didn't you hear Mr. O'Neill say, get out your homework? Why you got your homework out? Oh, that homework you said that was done, like if that parent was sitting right there, like they would be able to motivate that child to learn. Mr. O'Neill is talking. Why aren't you paying attention? Parents don't come to school. They drop them off to us. And we are the most powerful people in the room to motivate students to learn. The research also says that there are 3 psychological needs that help increase student motivation. So this research looked at 150 studies about how to motivate students, how to get them engaged. And this is what the research says, that if these 3 psychological needs are in the classroom, students will learn. And the needs are competency, where the students feel like they can do the work. They have an entry point in doing the work. If competency is in the culture of the classroom, students will engage more. Belonging. Do I feel like I belong here? You know the reason why many, as the higher math you go, and some of y'all teach these higher maths, like the diversity dwindles down? Because many people of color just don't believe that they belong in those classes. It's very, just from my experience, uncomfortable when you look into a room and you feel like when you're the only one. I've been the only one many a days in this culture. And so if we increase our belonging, students will be like, I belong here. I had to convince myself many a days, I belong here. James, you're not an imposter. You earned the right to be here, okay? And the last one is autonomy. Students feeling like they have control or they have a say-so in their learning. So I had an idea. I looked at the research and I said, I want to teach boss moves. This is my aha face. Whenever y'all see that face, it's like, ooh, I got something for y'all, And this is what I want to talk about. Let's make some boss moves. There are 5 boss moves as math teachers that I want to talk about today. The first move is creating a culture of praise. And all these moves are creating cultures. And let me say this. Let me go to black real quick. Let me do this. I believe this. You can be the greatest math content holder in the world, but that's not our job. Our job is not for us to be the smartest person in the room, which we are. You know, we know more than the kids. Of course, we want to be the smartest person in the room in the scape of math. But if kids feel like they can't do it, it doesn't matter how much we know. They're not going to engage with us because they feel like they can't. And I solely believe that we have to change the mindsets, and our cultures in our classrooms will change the mindsets of students that don't believe that they can into believing that they can. And so that is what I'm talking about. These boss moves change the culture in which we teach the math. So creating a culture of praise, creating a culture of competence, a culture of belonging, a culture of autonomy, and then lastly, creating a culture of advocacy. I meant to turn off my alarms. That's my take attendance alarm, okay? And it just went off, but we're not in school right now, so let me just go ahead and turn this stuff off. All right. Okay, so those are the 5 boss moves that I want to talk about today. And so we're going to create a culture of praise. Boss move number 1. Everybody say number 1. A culture of praise. All right, so let's read this definition together. This is what praise is. 1, 2, 3. The expression of approval or admiration for someone or something. I believe if we create a culture of praise, then it will shift the atmosphere in which students learn. So I, as a still classroom teacher, right, I'm going to share things that I've done, things that's been embedded in research that I feel that really shifts the atmosphere in my classroom. So as a culture of praise, there's something that I call the Holy Trinity in my room, and watch how they come out into you all. Ooh. They just came, looks like from the heavens. All right, they're just coming forth. All right. There are 3 things that I do in my classroom that really shifts a culture of praise. The first thing you're looking at is raffle tickets with a little smiley face, something I give out, and I'm going to explain this as well. I do believe in giving students candy. Now, I know, there's some health people out there, but with Welch's, it says the first ingredient is what? Fruit. All right? So that's how I get over. I know Michelle Obama came in and she changed the game and what we do with our kids and what we eat, which is great. I think we should be healthy. But that says fruit. Now, all my Mott's people, I don't understand how y'all eat Mott's. Like the fruit snack, I don't understand it, but that's do your thing. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is shout-outs. So creating a culture of praise, boss move number 1. Extra credit. So Normally, when I first started teaching, extra credit was this. Hey, I need some extra credit. You got some worksheets for me to do? You got something I can do that I can turn it in? If it was holiday season, oh, create these points and it's going to make a turkey. Just turn that thing in. If it's Christmas, oh, draw the little wreath, whatever like that. That's what I grew up on, extra credit, just something to do busy work that they're trying to get at the end. And I'm just like, y'all create more work for me. And I work hard enough. So I got to think of a way that I can do extra credit that doesn't give me more work to do. And so what I decided to do, I wanted to start awarding students for making connections with the math. And so the way I do extra credit is I hand out tickets. I may ask a question, and students begin to make connections with the math, and based on those brilliance questions or those answers they give me, I'll reward a student a ticket. For instance, if I'm teaching exponents and we're doing exponent rules, which is something we're going to do later, and I have 2 to the third power is 8, 2 to the second power is 4, 2 to the first power is 2. What's 2 to the 0 power? Make sense, find the pattern. Students want to say what, y'all? 0. That's what they want to say. But if you look at the pattern, we're moving down and we're dividing by the base. So what is 2 divided by 2? 1. Okay, and students that make that connection, I'll put on a timer, I'll put it on the slide, and I'll say, hey, everybody that make the connection, bring your paper up and make a line right down here, and I'm giving you a ticket. And this is what the tickets look like. So as students make those connections, this is a test on system of equations that I gave a couple of years ago. The red tickets are worth 2 points, white tickets are worth 1 point. So I become Oprah. You get a ticket, but you got to be right. You get a ticket, and you get a ticket, and you get a ticket. And so the harder the questions, the brilliance of the connections, I make a red ticket question. Or if I'm saying, hey, everybody go out, I'm teaching equations. We just came through equations. Solve this equation. It has fractions in it. Ooh, I know that gives some of y'all just, ooh, a fraction. What to do? Okay, let's give you this challenge problem. This is a white ticket question. What did I just do? I just increased engagement, because students are getting something in their hand. And what they are able to do, they're able to put up to 5 points on any assignment. So what you're looking at is a test on system of equations. This young man got 100 because he just killed, thank God for him. And then he put an extra 5 points on his test. So his grade went from 100 to 105. And so I do this to encourage students. If I'm out here talking to you all, if I said, y'all, I'm about to raffle something off, guess what? Oh, what? What we about to do? Y'all will perk up real quick, all right? And that's the same thing what's happening with my students. When I say this is a ticket question, what you say, Mr. O'Neill? Huh? Like, can you repeat the question? All of a sudden, engagement goes to another level because students know they're able to get something. Moving on from that, another place that I bring in praise are announcements. Students will come into my classroom from the last test, and I'll do shout-outs. And my shout-outs are for students that master the content. So on my board, literally my Promethean board, I'll say true masters. True masters are students that got 100 and above without any extra credit. Come on down. I'm giving them a piece of candy because they earned their extra credit and they've earned their score. And then I have a section called Masters, 90 and above, students that scored a 90 and above with or without extra credit. I'm doing this to shout them out to be like, I want to get this candy on this next test. Now, if you're teaching high school, I don't know why we think candy don't work. Y'all, candy work on adults. Like, I need y'all to stop playing games. Like, if you give these kids something, I don't care what grade it is, raffle tickets, y'all, if our paycheck at the end of the month was all the praise we received, let me know how that's been working for us on our end. Oh, there's a bonus, pandemic bonus. Like every time we receive something, it does something to us. And sometimes we forget that the people in front of us are little humans. Okay, sometimes little annoying humans, but little humans, there's nonetheless, okay? And so we have to remember, they want something. They want to feel. And at the end of the day, maybe the A is not doing it, okay? Maybe this ticket will. Maybe this piece of candy will. Change the culture of our classrooms. And so that's boss move number 1, a culture of praise. Boss move number 2, everybody say number 2. It's a culture of competence, okay? So the research says that if competence is in the room, then engagement will lift. Students feel like they can do something. So here is our culture of competence definition. Let's read it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. The ability to do something successful or efficiently. Y'all, if students are in a space and they feel that, there will be more engagement, there will be more mastery, and I'm just going to show you 2 ways that I build a culture of competence as a boss move. 2 things I do are student testimonials and mathletes. During the pandemic, I thought I was going to become a YouTube star because, you know, I was sitting at home eating, and I was like, ooh, let's eat and create videos. And so during the pandemic, I was just like, let's create a whole bunch of videos. I'm going to be this YouTube math teacher to show things that I've done. And then I created 5 videos, and then it was time to teach virtually on Zoom, and I didn't want to be in front of nobody's camera, on nobody's computer, and I was like, I'm done with the videos. But I have 5 videos that I created, and I want to show you all how I build a culture of competence through student testimonials. So this is a piece of my YouTube video. Students that have been successful in my classroom make a video answering the following questions. I assign this video testimonial as a homework assignment. Students write down the questions to the video, and then they write down the answers to the questions based on what their peers said. Here are some examples. What were your last year's EOG achievement?
In 7th grade, my EOG score was a 2, and in 8th grade, my EOG score was a 4.
My EOG score was a 5 in the 90th percentile, but with Mr. O'Neill, I shot up to a 5 in the 97th percentile, which is really good.
I jumped from a 4 in the 75th percentile to a 5 in the 91st.
In 7th grade, I got a 2 on my math EOG, and in 8th grade, I got a 5.
In 7th grade, I scored in the 89th percentile with a 5. My 8th grade year, I scored in the 99th percentile.
What did you do to jump so much?
Tutoring. Tutoring helps so much. When you can go to Mr. O'Neill and get help before you take the test or before you start class, that helps you get ahead of your class, and that also helps you learn what you didn't learn the day before.
I just had to stay on top of my work and make sure that I turned everything in on time. And I just had to do my homework and pay attention. I just had to keep at it, because in 7th grade I didn't do that.
My class had a math group chat, so if someone didn't understand, someone else who did understand could explain to them.
When did you start believing that you could do this?
I feel like I really didn't start believing in myself until the beginning of 4th quarter, when I had that C. Mom made me go to tutoring, started pushing myself, got to the test, and look where I am now. Got a 5.
I didn't really believe that I could strive for excellence. I just went for being average. As the year went on, well, my average, it went up, and I thought I could get a 5 on the EOG. So I started applying myself in class, and Lord and behold, I actually got a 5 on the EOG.
What advice would you give to other students?
If you can, look up the 8th grade released EOG test and study it, because it truly helps. It gets you in the mind of, oh, this is what the test's gonna be like. This is why I have to study.
Don't cheat, because then you won't know what you need to work on, what you need to ask in class the next day. And that ties along with asking questions, and the questions tie along to with you reaching your goal.
Admit you can't figure out a concept and ask for help. And make sure you practice that concept until you get it. Enjoy the fun moments in class, but also focus during the educational ones. It'll really help you on the EOG.
And if you guys stay focused, study, and ask questions, then you and your score will skyrocket to the top. Peace out.
The power of this. Okay, so basically, this is what this looks like for my class. I literally have students that make videos to encourage competence for the next students that's coming up. And I just literally make this a Canvas assignment as a reflection in a homework assignment. And so students just answered these 3 questions. Y'all see copy and answer, because I literally, y'all know we got to blow stuff up for our kids, and just like copy the questions, y'all. All right? And then they just answer those questions based on the student testimonial. What they are seeing is that that's their brother from last year. That's their friend from last year. That's their little ex-boo or whatever. And all the drama that happens in middle school, they know that that's not someone in New York. That student was literally here last year, and they're talking about how their scores increase. And what happens is that, I don't make this up, students start saying the same thing, and my students start coming to me and be like, Mr. O'Neill, they're all saying the same thing. Well, how could there be a reason why? Would there be a formula for success in math class? And so this is me showing them that you can do this. And if they did it, there's no difference between them and you other than your decisions. And so the next thing I do to build competence in my students is what I call mathletes. Mathletes, again, this is my last video to explain what mathletes are. Mathletes is the way that I celebrate students who score a 93 and above on their assessment. Why 93? Because back when I was in school, a 93 was an A. It wasn't until I got to college where I understood the power of the 10-point system. Oh, y'all giving out A's for 90s? Oh, I'll take that. Give me that. Give me that. Give me that. For the Mathletes Bulletin Board, I don't just celebrate A's, I celebrate growth. Because I believe that all students can master the concept that I'm teaching. Now, believing that and teaching to that level are two different things, and that's for another video. So for Mathletes, students line up in front of my wall, and I take a picture of their smiling face. I remind them that your parents are going to see this, so smile. What is this, a mugshot? Yes, and it's the only mugshot that you're going to ever take in your life. Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Here's a couple of their smiling faces. Tradition that I hold dear to my heart. And if a student was a mathlete, inside of that letter is enclosed a picture of their success. Why? Because I want them to remember what brilliance looks like. So I choose to decorate that old bulletin board with the success of my students. Okay, and so that is how I build competence. I want students to see themselves. Representation matters to me. I want a student to know that they can build competence because their friend built competence. And exposure is everything. And so in Boss Move number 2, competence, I believe that our building of a culture of competence, we will get more students to feel like they can engage and be successful with the math. Everybody ready for Boss Move number 3? Say yeah. Boss Move, y'all got to give me a little bit more than that. Y'all ready for Boss Move number 3? Say yeah. All right, there we go. Boss Move number 3 is a culture of belonging. This is my favorite one because belonging changed my life, and I'm not trying to be here all day on this one. This could be a keynote on its own. But a culture of belonging, let's read the definition 1, 2, 3. An affinity for a place or situation. It just makes me feel all cozy on the inside. Like, I just love it here, okay? And so when it comes to a culture of belonging, being this boss move as teachers, there are 3 things that I do. I make sure that there's culturally responsive teaching that's happening into my classrooms, quarterly surveys that I'll go into more into my own session to talk about how I do surveys, but I'll highlight them a little bit here. And then the last thing is extra credit parental involvement. It used to be, y'all, you think after 10 years of teaching, I don't make mistakes like this, but I remember when I first started abbreviating extra credit, I put EC, and then one of the students said something that was in there. I was like, James, come on now, you should know that. Like, you got to remember, like, these are middle school kids. They're going to make crazy connections. I remember the first day I tried to abbreviate assignment. Let y'all mind go with that. I was just like, you can't abbreviate this word, James. It's not going to happen. So, like, I need you to get your life together. All right? And so a culture of belonging is this. Culturally responsive teaching is an approach. This is coined by Gloria Ladson-Billings that empowers students intellectually, socially, emotionally, and politically by using cultural reference to impart knowledge, skills, and attitudes. And so I do some contracted work with Unbound Ed. I'm not here as an Unbound Ed employee at all, but there is a framework that they have. They call it GLEAM instruction. And GLEAM stands for grade level, engaging, affirming, and meaningful instruction. So when it comes to culturally relevant teaching, they take this M and they describe the meaningfulness that happens in math classrooms as this. Teachers who provide meaningful instruction find room in the curriculum to develop students' socio-political lenses through dialogue, debate, questioning, writing, think abouts, and etc. So that's how they bring their cultural relevance within their framework, is when if the math work is meaningful. Another wonderful, brilliant mind, Dr. Pamela Seda, she uses a continual culturally relevant task. And so she says you can take a task from stage 1 to stage 4. And this is how she does that. So in stage 1, a task that invites students into doing the thinking and reasoning, not mimicking previously taught procedures. So you take a task and the students are doing the heavy work. That's stage 1. Then you take it to stage 2 by taking the task and adding names that are meaningful to your students to the original problem. And that's how you can take a task from stage 1 to stage 2. We're still talking about culturally relevant teaching. And then at stage 3, you can change the context of that to make it relevant to your students. And then stage 4 is when you begin for your students and their community. Stage 4 begins with your students and their communities. So in stage 4 is pretty much what Unbound Ed says about meaningful. You're using the math to really to change the scope of the student's world. Or the math is exposing the students to other things about their world in which they can change their community. Today I want to talk about stage 3, because stage 4 doesn't happen every day, everybody. Every lesson is not going to have a stage 4. There are certain times there'll be a stage 3 lesson, and so I'm going to show you some ways I have built culturally responsive teaching with stage 3. With stage 3, here is a normal system of equations problem, right? If Jane has 36 coins totaling $3 and the coins are all nickels and quarters, how many of each coin does she have? Now, Dr. Pamela Seda says you can take this, instead of saying Jane, maybe you'll say Keisha. If Keisha has 36 coins, now when I bring in problems like this, my kids, especially my black kids, be like, Keisha, where'd she come from? Like, why is she in the problem? I'm just like, and that shows exactly. Dr. Seda said something that was very impactful to me. She said, when we teach curriculum, it is still always somebody's culture. Right? And so there are certain names that show up because of the writers of the curriculum. And so every black person has a Keisha, somebody. They're not too far removed from a Keisha in their life, right? It might be Keisha, it might be Shakisha, Nakisha. There is a Keisha derivative in their life, and students don't see that. And so that's level 1. But this is what I do with level 3. This is the part that I want to talk about. It says, write the system of equations that satisfy the word problems above. Name the solution your favorite fast food restaurant. Okay. I did not change the math. Students need to know how to build the equations. I have taught them to the level of building the equations. I have now brought in relevance to their world by asking them to name the solution, and they know what the solution is, the place where both lines intersect, the point that makes both equations true, their favorite fast food restaurant. And this is what happens in Desmos, okay? This is what they start saying. So what's happening right now is a whole bunch of talking. And I'm initiating it by saying, McDonald's is trash. Like, I don't understand. How in the world do y'all eat McDonald's? Cookout, oh, my favorite milkshake from Cookout is the caramel cheesecake milkshake. You can never go wrong with that. And then we got a smart person right here in my house. Oh, what y'all cook? I would love to come by to get some fast food, like the student that said that knows that I can see their name, right? And so what I've done is create something that they have to do the math, but now student interests are going up because it's something relevant to them. The same thing can happen in problems like this. So I know y'all can't be able to see this, so I'm explaining what's happening. So in these 3 sections, it says, name the solution, your favorite TV show, actor, or actress. And so students start naming the solution, which is in the double shaded region, or the place where both shades intersect, and you'll see that they'll start saying Hamilton. They'll say, my favorite TV show is The Walking Dead. And I'm just like, my best friend put me on The Walking Dead. I'm about to watch the last season. What season are you on? In the midst of the math that I did not change, nor the content that I did not change, nor the level of rigor that I changed, I just asked a simple question. And one of my favorite questions is their favorite food. And so the last one is label the point of exceeding your favorite food. And it's where the exponential function exceeds the linear function. And students start saying things like biryani chicken. And that's coming from my Indian student. And right there in that moment, I was like, so what is that? I've never been to an Indian restaurant in Charlotte. The teacher now becomes the student. the student now becomes the teacher. Another student says, carne asada, and I'm just like, I know, did I say it right? Because, you know, students are always trying to pronounce, you're not rolling your R. I'm like, y'all, I can't roll the R. I'm sorry, I just can't. They're becoming the student, the teacher in that moment. They might even ask, another student says, tamales verdes de pollo. Did I say that right? What is that? And in that moment, I didn't take away anything from the math. I just asked them to bring in their culture. And food, as y'all know, I love food. And food is something that is cultural to anybody. And the most beautiful thing about this, and I'm going to move on after this, is that students feel comfortable in not saying the Americanized food. Like, it's just, and that's how you know you can gauge their awareness. You can gauge how much they'll share if they feel like, I belong here. Like, I'm going to give you what really happens at my house. And so another thing that I do is student surveys. As bosses, as you are, I don't believe, now this is just me, this is James O'Neill, okay? I just don't believe that we can do a great job teaching without asking the students that we stand in front of every day, how well are they receiving from us? How are they really learning from us? And so I literally give out surveys to ask students, check me, gauge me. I want to know, how are you receiving from me? That's how much I care about you. That's how much I really believe as a student you have a voice in my classroom. Now, let me tell you something now. You got to have some thick skin. Because middle school students will tell you the truth, or they will tell you if they're in their feelings and they just got finished fighting with their little friend, you won't get all of it in this survey. But I believe that even at the end of the day, when I ask y'all to do a survey for me, how well did I do? I want to be better. And so I'm going to show you a couple of questions that I asked the students from my class. And I'm not going to read this, but I'm going to have y'all just look at it. This is what I asked in my survey. Now, specifically for number one, there are some people that's just not a fan of Mr. O'Neill now. They're going to drop some ones on me. No, they're going to drop a couple of ones because they don't believe that Mr. O'Neill likes them at this moment, or they don't really like math, or there's been an interaction with me. I have to read this data and look at the outliers, judge them for what they are, and really look at what my students are saying. When I ask my students, what do you think as a teacher that I could work on to be better? They are honest with me. One year, students was like, Mr. O'Neill, you are just too sarcastic, and we just don't know when you're serious or not. And I was like, oh, y'all the first ones that don't get me, and y'all want me to change after 30-some years. Will I do it for you? Y'all, I'm going to try. I'm going to really try. So the very next day after getting the data, I share the data with them, and I tell them, hey guys, you said this. All right, I can work on this. What method of teaching works best for you? You love when you get to see it on the board and you get to work with your partners. They're now seeing that this teacher really believes in me and wants me to be successful in this classroom, and I feel like I could belong here. There was one student that really felt like I didn't like her, and she wrote in her survey, I don't think you like me. You always move my seat. And I was like, Curls, you talk too much. That's why. But I came the next day pretending like it's anonymous, and I said, you know what? There's a student in this class that feels like I don't like you. It is not that I don't like you. I just really care about this learning environment. And that student the next day came to me and I couldn't keep that girl out of my face because all she wanted to know is that I cared. That's all she wanted to know. And she was like, oh, he do like me. And as a middle school little girl, that meant a lot to her. And so it really changed the dynamic of our relationship. And the last thing that I want to talk about is a culture of belonging with parental involvement, the extra credit. And so y'all been sitting down for a while, and y'all been listening to me. And it's about time for y'all to get up and make some boss moves. Now, listen, you're not about dance. I know anxiety just hit some of y'all life. You're not about to dance. You're not about to dance. You're not about to do anything. But I'm going to show you all how I teach exponent rules by showing the hand movements that I make. So I need everybody to get up. Get up. This is your stretch moment because I've been talking a lot. All right, so when we teach exponents and we're talking about multiplying same bases, I'm going to model, and then you're going to do it after me, okay? When we multiply exponents with the same base, I'm modeling first, y'all, if you want to join me, You multiply exponents with the same base, you keep the base, and add the exponents. Okay, when we multiply exponents with the same base, we keep the base and add the exponents. Do y'all think y'all can say that with me? 1, 2, 3. When we multiply exponents with the same base, we keep the base and add the exponents. Y'all look good. Some of y'all are turning this way, some of y'all are turning this way, but you're doing your thing. All right, so now we're going to raise a power to a power, okay? Raise a power to a power. This is what it looks like. Power, raise a power to a power. Here are your parentheses, and there are powers outside this parentheses. When we raise a power to a power, we keep the base and distribute the exponents. All right, let's do it again. When we raise a power to a power, we keep the base and we distribute the exponents. Y'all ready to say it with me? 1, 2, 3. When we raise a power to a power, we keep the base and we distribute the exponents. All right, the last movement, everybody, we're dividing like bases. This is our fraction bar, okay? When we divide exponents with the same base, y'all watching, you keep the base and you subtract the exponents. That's the same thing I get from my kids, and y'all didn't do it. We're going to dab today. I don't care if it was 2000. I don't know when we're dabbing. We're all dabbing today. All right, so when we divide exponents with the same base, we keep the base and we subtract the. Look at them dab. Chris, you got to turn around and get these dabbers real quick. All right, so when we're, I want you to turn around and get these dabbers. Okay, when you subtract the exponents with the same base, what do we do, class? We keep the base and we subtract the exponents. Y'all look great. Tell somebody else right next to you, say, you're a boss. All right, sit down, bosses. All right, the last move is a little advanced, and I'm going to challenge you all. I'm going to get volunteers. But I let students make up the last moves because there's negative exponents. And so Quentin made up this move. He said when you have negative exponents, you flip the base and make the exponent positive. That's what Quentin said. He said when we have negative exponents, you flip the base and make the exponent positive. All the confident people, get up with me. All right. When you have negative exponents, what do? You flip the base and make the exponent positive. Y'all, sit down, bosses. Y'all did that. Give yourselves a hand. You did that. You did that. So I use this. Parents come to me like they come to all of us and say, Mr. O'Neill, Miss whoever, Mr. whoever, I can't teach these kids anymore now. I don't know this math y'all teaching, this new math, blah, 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 blah. And they want to disengage. And I say, no, you're not going to disengage. I'm going to be the content teacher. I just want you to stay engaged. And so these are some ways that I get students to stay engaged. They go home and they create videos with their parents. Here's the first video.
Multiply exponents with the same base, keep the base, add the exponents. Raise a power to a power, keep the base, distribute the exponents. Divide the exponents with the same base, keep the base, subtract the exponents.
See that dab? You see that dab? All right, that's level 1. Then we go up to level 2. Guess there was not supposed to be any dabbing in that house. And then this is level 3.
All right, ready?
Ready, fam?
All right, here we go.
Good.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, let's go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, multiply. Keep the same base, add it. Parentheses, keep the same base, distribute. Divide, keep the same base, subtract. Let's go, break it down, break it down. Ho!
Hey!
Now y'all know that mom embarrasses them babies all the time. She's with it. She is with it. And so again, this is me telling parents, you still belong, right? you still belong in this space. You still belong in this classroom. I'm going to teach the content. You do not have to disengage your child. And this is a way, and I actually upped it. This is not a red ticket question or a red ticket opportunity. This is like a homework pass. It's like, oh, you get a homework pass if you do this. And so I really, literally want my students to feel like they belong. I want my families to feel like they belong, because when they do, when they get an email from me, every now and then, it might not be one of the best emails that we have to send home, and they're like, I know that Mr. O'Neill cares about your kid, about my child. I know that Mr. O'Neill really wants my child to learn. When we create those connections, it's not a me against them. It really does take a village, and I am an extension of your village. Boss move number 4. Everybody say number 4. We only got one more after this, y'all. Okay, so a culture of autonomy. And this is what I believe with a culture of autonomy. I don't have much to say about this particular boss move, but we can read it together. 1, 2, 3, the right or condition of self-government. So this is what I believe about autonomy. That if a child is in my classroom and they feel praised, they feel like they belong, and they feel like they are competent enough to do the work, they're going to have autonomy. There will be a special self-governing attitude that comes on them. Because y'all know how it is. I am one person. I give an assignment. Mr. O'Neill, I'm Mr. O'Neill, Mr. O'Neill. I mean, all the class, because there is no autonomy. They don't feel like I can do this. I can govern myself through this. I can sit with the math just for a little bit longer. They don't feel that. And because they don't feel that, they back away. But I believe that if our environments have praise, belonging, and competence, this autonomy is going to happen for our kids. They won't have to depend on me. They might talk to their neighbor before me, which is something I prefer. That's why y'all are in pairs. I'm just one person, right? And so I believe our cultures bring in the right to self-govern. I'm going to sit with this problem. No, I don't know the answer right now. But I remember just a second ago, I didn't know the answer, and I worked through it. Right? And I know in this environment that I'm not being judged for not knowing. And I'm being praised for trying, you know? And so this level of autonomy will happen as we continue to build our boss moves on cultures. My last boss move today is a culture of advocacy. Everybody say a culture of advocacy. Okay, last boss move today, y'all. So I shared my story in the beginning. And who you see on your left is me, and I was just excited about learning. My mom told me she had a nickname for me called Mastermind and everything like that, and it wasn't because my head was so big or whatever like that, but it's just because, maybe it wasn't because my head was so big. But at the end of the day, she was like, that boy loves to learn. He'll sit with a book. He just really loved learning. I saw myself being who I am today. I just did not have the tools to get there. They're literally, my parents didn't know how to get there. My parents just know they had a little boy that loved learning. It took this teacher bridging in the gap for me. She advocated for me. And as gatekeepers and bosses like you all are, we have the awesome ability to fill in that gap for many of our students. And I'm not asking you to be the savior. I'm not asking you to be a martyr. I'm not asking you to be nothing like that. But I am telling you that you are the most powerful person in that room to change that child's life. And her decision concerning my life changed my life. There was no other way for me to get into Algebra 1 and then geometry in high school without her advocating for me and saying, hey, I'm going to give you and Chester and Adam this placement test to see how well y'all do to get into Algebra 1. She changed my life. And so what I do now, when I first moved to Piedmont, I'm from Charlotte. I live in Charlotte right now, and I went to Piedmont Middle School. I teach there now. When I first got there in 2016, I left Pittsburgh, and I didn't know anything about Math 1, integrated math, all this other stuff. I've been teaching the basic Algebra 1 for like 8 years. And when I got there and I looked at the demographics of the Math 1-2 course, which is the highest course, the way we do it at Piedmont in 7th grade, everybody takes 7th grade math. 8th grade is where we start branching off. So you might have an 8th grade Math 8 class. You have a Math 1 class year long, and then you have a Math 1-2 by semester. When I looked into that Math 1-2 by semester class, this is the demographics of our school. 60% of our school is black, identified as black. Out of that, 30%, half and half, are male and female. But when I looked into that Math 1-2 course, I saw this. No black males. None. And I remember walking, and I'm just like, but we're the who's who in Charlotte and I'm not doing anything. My principal knows I say this all the time. She's with me, and I'm not down in my school because we are amazing. I do teach at an amazing school. And I was just like, this is where all the black parents love to send their kids because of how kids feel and how they learn here. But has anybody noticed that there are no black males in this Math 1-2 course? I noticed because it's my story. And I know that someone lacks the same expectation, but I don't, because I've been through this. And so what happened is that every Monday, which I encourage everybody to do, and I don't know, it's this model we have at Piedmont, but during our 6-block class, it's our club class. And so teachers all over the school sponsor a club that any student can come to. Well, I started off playing cards, okay? That was my club. We're going to play a card game. So I was teaching them how to declare war and go fish and everything. And then we got the spades. And those kids was like, we're not playing nothing else, Mr. O'Neill, but spades. And so we created a spades tournament. We played spades every day. But then my heart was like, no, I want to do something about this. And so what I decided to do, I decided to change my spades club into a club that will recognize the top performing black male students that come into Piedmont and support them along the way to make sure by the time they get to me in 8th grade, I don't teach the Math 1-2 course, the other teacher does, and she's amazing, but there will be some representation in that class. And so I have to get the permission of their parents because 6th grade boys want to go out and play football and frisbee and everything else. And when I tell them, I'm going to support your math education, it's like, I don't want to be here. And I'm like, but your mama said you're going to be here, so you're going to stay here. And so what they do, they learn that there's something else to look forward to in 8th grade instead of just being in a math class. And so this is a club that I created. It's called Aftermath. And y'all know I do poetry. And so it's a pun. It's a play on words. It's a club aftermath class that focuses on the aftermath of black boys pursuing aftermath. A club aftermath class that focuses on the aftermath of black boys pursuing aftermath. So it's a club that happens 6 block. You already had your math class. That focuses on the aftermath, the result of you all pursuing, chasing aftermath. And so what I do in the club, I support them and I encourage them. And it's not just about math. It's about, did y'all get the honor roll? Well, we're going to have a pizza party every quarter that you get the honor roll. We're going to have a pizza party. And to 6th grade boys, pizza is a lot. And you're paying for it, and we get the 3 or 4 slices, and we get drinks, and we get cookies. Yes, I'm coming out of my pocket for you because I want you to know that you're brilliant. And so what has happened is that there has been increased exposure to students that get in that class. Now, we've had 4 to 5 boys every year, and those 4 to 5 boys score 5s on their Math 1 EOC, and when there was an NCFE, they would score 5s on that as well. It's about advocacy. Somebody saying, no, this ain't right. Nah. And being able with your passion and to understand that I believe you. Oh, I'm about to go in real quick. So we cannot say that we believe in all and we don't push for all. Like, we can't say that. We can't say, like, I believe all students can do math, and you look in your classrooms and not all students are doing the math. Then we have to ask ourselves why. Somebody got to ask why. Somebody got to ask why. Why at this predominantly black school are there no black males in this Math 1-2 course? And why are we not calling anybody racist or whatever like that, but why are we okay with it? because it has been the norm. And somebody has to come in and shake up the norm. And I'm telling you, you have the power to do that. I didn't go off and get funds from the state. I just started a club at my school. And I use, yes, the money that I make to pay for a pizza party to encourage my students that you can do well. And I've seen change happen in my sphere of influence. We're gatekeepers, and we have the power to change students' lives. My last point, then y'all can go to lunch, and I know everybody's ready to go. This is me becoming Mrs. Simmons. That's what I want to do on a very different, powerful level, because this work is personal to me. And so this is my data for the past couple of years. And the reason why I share this is because people come up and be like, there's some good ideas, and he said a lot of stuff, but can he really teach? And I show you this because I want to take you on a journey, because this has been the journey of my life since I started creating these boss moves cultures in my class. And so I just want to show y'all what we all see when we go into EVAS and just break this down. When I started teaching in 2016, 2017, I left Pittsburgh. I didn't know anything about these new standards, North Carolina standards. I didn't know anything. And I was like, an exponential function? What in the world is that? Like, I ain't never had to teach that, and I haven't seen that in years. Quadratics that we do in Math 1. I was literally, y'all know how we live paycheck to paycheck. I was living lesson plan to lesson plan, because I came 2 weeks before the school got started. And though I had been teaching for a while and I felt like I was a good teacher, I wasn't able to be my best self, because every night, every weekend, I'm going over content. And I'm trying to show up the very next day. The struggle was real teaching that content. And so I saw growth, but I knew that's not who I am. And so over the summer, I literally about quit teaching that year. Just throwing that out there because it was just too much. But over the summer, I literally went to school and I taught myself the math content that I didn't know before. And the very next year, my students' growth went here. And I was just like, oh, it's because these kids get it. These are a different type of kids. Like, they understand me. They are my people. And what I discovered is that the very next year this happened. And I was just like, so what is the issue? What did I do? I changed my mastery, and I changed the culture, and I started to change students' belief systems. And when that happened, when I had the time to do that, because I wasn't learning new content every night grading papers, and the weekend, y'all, that was the hardest year before the pandemic that I ever had. And when I did that, the scores from the EVAS, and I know how we feel about EVAS, I'm just using that as a data point to prove a point today, changed. And the pandemic happened, and and then this happened. And then after the pandemic, this past last year, we're moving up in the same direction, because these past 2 years have really been hard. But I'm telling you all that you are the most powerful person in the room to bring about change for your students. And what I've personally seen as a boss is that when I care and show I care, their lives change. So that is my food for thought. That is my presentation. That is everything that I wanted to ground us in today, is the power of who you are. I know everybody is trying to strip our power away, but y'all, we are powerful. Can y'all say that affirmation with me? I am powerful. I am powerful. Can y'all say that a little louder? I am powerful. I am powerful. And I came to remind you of that power today. So I would love to stay in contact with you. There's a bit.ly right here on the screen to just stay in contact. There are some things that I really want to get in front of as many people as possible, change as many lives as possible, get in front and encourage as many teachers as possible. And there are some things and some resources there. If you can't get the bit.ly, you can look at the QR code that's there. Y'all are still taking pictures, so I'm not going to move to the next slide yet. And the last thing I want to say is thank you. Thank you all so much for being engaging, for being amazing, for being awesome, for being math teachers, for being bosses. Thank y'all so much.